Hi, welcome to this masterclass on the 10 C-level must-dos to repair and optimize your NetSuite implementation. As we work a lot with our clients, we find that 50 to 75% of the NetSuite implementations really don't meet the expectations of the leadership team. So we prepared materials on the 10 things that the leadership team needs to do to realize successful NetSuite implementations. Now, as I created all these materials, I fed them into Notebook LM, into the audio feature, where you can actually create a podcast on the material. And I was blown away by how well, I'll call our hosts Liam and Mila, did on this material. So what I'm going to do is I'm going to turn it over to them with the slides. They're much more entertaining than I could ever be. And we'll listen to it together. And then at the end, I'll follow up with some offers for you and some ways to move forward to really make sure your NetSuite implementation meets your needs. So here we go.
Every year, companies like yours pour, vast resources into modernizing their core business systems. We're talking huge strategic investments, really aimed at unlocking new efficiency, better decisions, fueling growth. But, despite all that investment, despite the absolute best intentions, why do these projects, these really ambitious ones, so often hit unexpected turbulence? Today, we're taking a deep dive into a really critical area. It's for any organization thinking about, or maybe already in, a major enterprise software implementation. We want to unpack why these projects can sometimes struggle, and probably more importantly, give you the insights to make sure yours, succeeds.
It really is fascinating how consistent the data is here. Industry research, it points to a pretty significant challenge. Roughly 50%, half of these big software implementations across different platforms, they unfortunately fail on the first try. And when you look at the really comprehensive enterprise-wide systems, those failure rates can actually range between, say, 55% and maybe even up to 75%. That's a huge risk.
A massive gamble, really.
Exactly. And the fallout isn't trivial. Most of these projects end up costing 3, maybe 4 times the initial budget, and they take about 30% longer than anyone planned for. What's maybe even more concerning is that over 51% of companies, they actually experience significant operational disruption when they finally flip the switch, when they go live. But here's where it gets interesting. There's a clear path forward suggested by the data. Among companies that brought in a specialized software consultant, someone who really knows the system and the process, the success rate jumped dramatically. We're talking 85%.
Wow, that's a big difference.
It really is. And it suggests it's not just about, throwing money at it. It's about having that targeted expert guidance that makes a measurable difference.
So, our mission in this deep dive then is to pull out the most important, the most actionable insights from all that analysis. We want to give you not just a clear picture of the root causes why things go wrong, but crucially, the actual remediation strategies, the things you can do to navigate these complex projects and, actually realize the full value of your investment. So let's talk about these core issues. What are these fundamental problems that consistently, trip up so many projects? We've boiled them down to the top 10, and for each one, we'll look at the critical strategies to get things back on track or keep them there in the first place. And let's start with what the research consistently says is the number one reason these projects falter.
Right. It's the lack of executive leadership support and commitment.
Okay, seems obvious, but how does that actually play out?
Well, it might sound obvious, but it's often more subtle than you'd think. It's not always about a CEO saying they don't support it. It's more about a perceived lack of priority. When that C-suite backing isn't visibly active, when they're not really engaged in key governance meetings or actively championing the change, that subtle lack of sponsorship, it just trickles down. It creates passive resistance, resource bottlenecks pop up, maybe just general apathy at different levels.
Let's see.
And the research really highlights this. 77% of companies identified that active institutional leadership support as the absolute most critical success factor. Without it, even the best technical plan can just, unravel pretty quickly.
So strategically then, what does that look like from the top? What do executives need to do?
Okay, so first, you need to secure visible executive sponsorship. Someone like the CEO, CIO, COO, before the project even kicks off. And this isn't just a name on a slide, it's an active role.
Right.
Second, establish a really clear governance structure. C-suite executives need to be directly responsible for the big strategic decisions and, crucially, for actively allocating the necessary resources. And third, maintain that engagement. Regular executive briefings are key, not just for status updates, but to tackle obstacles head on. quickly. And leadership needs to constantly communicate why this is strategically important across the whole organization. Make sure everyone understands the value.
Okay, so executive leadership sets the strategic direction, but then you need the operational groundwork, right? Even with that C-suite backing, I imagine projects can still flounder if the actual management is weak. How does inadequate project management and planning cause tangible problems?
Yeah, this is really where the rubber meets the road. And often it's where the wheels can come off. A weak project manager, or maybe just someone without the right experience for this kind of project, they might struggle to keep all the stakeholders aligned. Scope creep becomes a problem. Budgets get out of control. Timelines slip. You know the drill. And beyond the PM role itself, just insufficient upfront planning, that leads to unrealistic expectations, not having the right people or money allocated. It's a failure to really grasp the project's complexity from the start.
Like building without blueprints, you said earlier.
Exactly. It's a recipe for problems. So the strategic fix here. First, assign experienced project managers. People with a proven track record in this specific type of complex software implementation. They need to build comprehensive project plans, realistic timelines, clear milestones, define deliverables, all that good stuff, and implement rigorous scope management. Scope creep is just a silent killer on these projects.
Definitely.
Establish really clear roles and responsibilities for everyone on the team. And consider using proven methodologies like Agile. It allows for flexibility while keeping control, which is vital here. And maybe most importantly, conduct regular, honest project reviews. Be ready to adjust the plan based on actual progress and the inevitable challenges that pop up.
Okay, let's shift gears a bit. Poor data quality and migration issues. You hear about this a lot, but why is it so often kind of underestimated until it becomes a crisis?
Data. It's the lifeblood, right? And if that foundation is shaky, the new system, however great it is, just won't work properly. The problems we see are things like inconsistent data formats between old systems, tons of duplicate records, just plain outdated information. Often, critical data is scattered across multiple legacy systems. Different departments might even have conflicting versions of the same customer or product info.
Nightmare.
It is. And companies sometimes assume, oh, the new system will fix our data. But actually, it tends to amplify existing problems if you don't tackle them proactively.
So what's a proactive approach?
You absolutely must conduct thorough data audits before you even think about migrating. Find the problems first, then implement comprehensive data cleansing. That means getting rid of duplicates, fixing inaccuracies, standardizing formats. It's painstaking work.
Sounds like it.
And you need data governance policies going forward so you don't recreate the mess. Detailed data mapping between the old and new systems is crucial, field by field. It's a huge task, no doubt, but it's absolutely essential. And we always recommend a phased data migration. Don't try to move everything at once. Do it in chunks, test each stage, minimize the disruption, and of course have solid backup and rollback plans just in case.
Makes sense. Now let's talk about the people side. We've all seen resistance to change. How does insufficient user training and change management play into these implementation struggles?
Oh, this is huge. You can have the most technically perfect system, but if your people don't use it or don't use it correctly, the whole thing can fall flat.
Yeah.
Users might find a powerful new system just overwhelming. That leads to low adoption, more errors, maybe even productivity decreasing initially.
Right.
And poor communication about the why and how just makes it worse. I've seen cases where employees literally create shadow systems and spreadsheets because the new enterprise software felt too complex or alien.
So they just work around it.
Exactly. And then your massive investment isn't delivering anything close to its potential value.
So how do you address that strategically?
You need to develop role-based training programs tailored to what different user groups actually do, not one size fits all. Implement comprehensive change management strategies right from the start, proactively address user concerns, communicate the benefits, the what's in it for them, provide ongoing support too, refreshers, help for new hires, leverage the software's own guided learning features if it has them. And something really effective is establishing user champions within departments, internal advocates who can offer peer support, build momentum, and provide real-world feedback.
Internal advocates, I like that. Okay, next point. There's always this temptation, isn't there, to make the new system look exactly like the old processes. This leads to over-customization and configuration complexity. What's the real danger there?
It's such a common trap. Everyone wants familiarity. But excessive customization, trying to bend the new software to every old habit, it creates enormous complexity under the hood. This can seriously slow down system performance, and it makes future upgrades, which are inevitable, incredibly difficult and expensive. You end up supporting unique code instead of standard features.
Right.
Organizations often customize rather than adapt their processes to take advantage of the system's built-in best practices. This racks up costs, increases maintenance headaches, and honestly, it often stifles the very innovation the new system was supposed to enable.
So resist the urge to tweak everything.
Pretty much. The strategic approaches. Prioritize using standard functionality first. Really push yourselves on that. Before you even consider a customization, evaluate it hard. What's the real business value versus the long-term maintenance cost and complexity? A good guideline is the 80-20 rule. Aim for standard features for 80% of your needs. Customize only for the 20% that are true strategic differentiators for your business. Document every single customization meticulously. And work with experienced consultants who understand the system deeply. They can advise when customization is truly justified versus when changing a process makes more sense. Having a formal customization governance process where each change needs a solid business case, that's essential.
That leads nicely into the next point. Choosing the right external expertise. Wrong implementation partner selection. This seems like a make-or-break decision.
It absolutely can be. Choosing an inexperienced or, frankly, unsuitable implementation partner significantly hikes up your failure risk. If they lack deep industry-specific expertise for your sector, or if they don't follow proven, structured methodologies, or if they just don't assign the right level of experienced people, well, they can't provide the guidance you need.
So it's not just about technical skills.
Not at all. Some partners might be technically brilliant but lack that crucial business process understanding. They might build something that works technically but doesn't actually solve the business problem or align with best practices. That disconnect is dangerous.
So how do you vet them properly?
You need to do thorough due diligence. Review their track record, check their certifications, and really probe their relevant industry experience. Ask for references from companies similar to yours in your industry and actually call them. Talk about their experience.
Good point. Don't just read the reference list.
Definitely. Ensure the partner commits senior-level experienced consultants from the very beginning, from pre-sales right through go-live and beyond. Verify their team includes both technical experts and strong business process specialists. You need both. Establish clear service-level agreements, SLAs, and performance metrics. Hold them accountable. And ultimately, choose partners who follow proven, structured methodologies designed specifically for implementing this kind of software. It provides discipline and reduces risk.
Okay, let's talk money and time. There's always pressure, isn't there, to do things faster and cheaper? How do unrealistic timeline and budget expectations contribute to failure?
Oh, massively. Underestimating the sheer complexity, the time involved, the resources needed, it just sets the project up for failure from day one. People often create aggressive timelines without fully accounting for things like data migration complexity, which we just discussed, or intricate system integrations, or critically, the time needed for proper user training and change management.
All connects.
Exactly. Then budget overruns happen, maybe because the scope expands, scope creep again, or unforeseen technical problems arise, or simply because the initial scoping was just inadequate. It didn't reflect reality.
So how do you instill that discipline around timelines and budgets?
It starts with rigorous, upfront business analysis and requirements gathering. Before you set any dates or budgets, understand what you're truly undertaking. Always build contingency into your plans, both time and budget, because unexpected things will happen. Plan for it. Consider phased implementations instead of a big bang go live. Breaking it into manageable stages reduces risk and allows for learning along the way. A general rule of thumb you sometimes hear is allocating around, say, 1% of your annual operating budget for these major implementation costs. It's a starting point for thinking about scale.
Interesting benchmark.
And then monitor progress constantly against those timelines and budgets. Be transparent. Be prepared to adjust expectations if necessary based on facts. And crucially, have strong change control processes. If the scope needs to expand, manage it formally, understand the impact on costs and time, and make conscious decisions.
It's easy to see how tempting it is to rush towards that finish line, the go-live date. But you mentioned the danger of rushing testing. Why is inadequate testing and quality assurance such a common problem?
It really is. Insufficient testing or cutting corners on it is frequently cited as a direct cause of major problems after go live. Critical errors, system failures, business disruption. Rushing through testing, especially skipping or shortchanging proper user acceptance testing, UAT, it means bugs and process flaws just don't get caught.
Until it's live and impacting customers or operations.
Precisely. They only become painfully obvious when your live operations, your revenue, your reputation are on the line. It's like launching a rocket without finishing the systems checks.
So what does robust testing look like?
It means implementing comprehensive testing strategies. That must include functional testing, does the feature work? Integration testing, do systems talk to each other correctly? And critically, UAT. You have to involve your key business stakeholders directly in UAT. Let the actual users test the system using real-world scenarios that reflect their daily work.
Get their sign-off?
Absolutely. Create detailed test scripts based on those real business processes. Perform thorough system cleanup. Get rid of all that test data before you go live. Consider parallel testing, running the old and new systems side by side for a period to compare results and ensure accuracy, and fundamentally, allow enough time for testing. Multiple cycles, time to find bugs, fix them, and retest. You simply cannot rush this critical phase.
Okay, nearly there. What about connecting the new system to everything else? Integration challenges with existing systems must be a huge headache, especially for complex organizations.
Oh, absolutely. And the complexity here is very, very often underestimated. Most major enterprise implementations don't happen in a vacuum. They need to connect smoothly with existing CRM systems, financial platforms, HR tools, maybe bespoke industry-specific applications.
It's a whole ecosystem.
It is. And when those integrations are poorly planned or maybe badly executed, you end up with data inconsistencies between systems, people resorting to manual workarounds, disrupted workflows. Not thinking through all the integration points up front often leads to data silos the opposite of what you wanted. And compromised data flow across the business, it negates a huge part of the intended benefit.
How do you tackle that complexity?
Again, it starts with upfront analysis. A comprehensive system landscape review to identify all the necessary integration points. Leave no stone unturned. Engage integration specialists, people with experience in both the new platform and the systems you need to connect it to. That dual expertise is key. Develop detailed integration specifications. How will data map? How will errors be handled? What about security? Get granular. Implement robust testing specifically for all those integration points. Test them early, test them often. Plan for ongoing integration maintenance and monitoring after go live. These connections need looking after. And consider using established integration platforms or middleware tools that can often simplify building and managing complex integrations.
Right. Okay, final point. That last hurdle before full deployment. What are the dangers of pulling the trigger too early, a premature go live, without proper preparation?
This is often where all the previous potential mistakes come home to roost. Organizations sometimes feel intense pressure to hit a go-live date, maybe an artificial deadline, and they push forward without ensuring that everything, the system, the data, the processes, and critically the people are truly ready.
And the result?
Immediate operational disruptions, significant user frustration because they haven't been properly trained or supported, potential data integrity issues right out of the gate. It often stems from incomplete final testing, maybe user training wasn't fully rolled out, or the post-go-live support structure isn't really in place. The pressure to launch overrides the readiness checks.
So what's the checklist for a ready go live?
Develop comprehensive go-live checklists. Cover everything: technical readiness, data validation, process confirmation, user preparedness, support plans. Ensure all UAT is fully complete, signed off, and any critical or high-priority issues are resolved before you flip the switch. Verify key data points, opening financial balances, inventory counts if relevant. Make sure they're accurate and migrated correctly.
Crucial details.
Confirm all users have finished their training and know exactly where to go for help. Have dedicated support teams ready and available, especially during those initial days and weeks. Hypercare, they sometimes call it. Maybe a plan for a short period of parallel operations, running the old system alongside the new as a safety net, if feasible. And finally, implement immediate post-go-live monitoring. Watch the system performance, track issues, and have rapid resolution protocols ready to tackle anything unexpected.
That is an incredibly thorough breakdown of the challenges, but also, importantly, the strategic solutions. It seems really clear that while, yes, the pitfalls are numerous, the path to success isn't some kind of secret. It's about discipline and foresight. We heard how effective communication across all stakeholders is seen as a top skill needed. Makes total sense. And it also makes sense why, as you said, over half of organizations are now opting for that phased approach, predetermined steps rather than the high-risk big bang. It just allows for more control, more learning, and as we touched on earlier, working with an experienced partner, especially one known for delivering predictable outcomes, maybe fixed timelines and costs, by actively avoiding these common pitfalls, that clearly improves the odds significantly.
You know, what's truly fascinating when you look at all this is that while the challenges are definitely many, and they are complex, the solutions, they're remarkably clear. They're well documented through experience and research. The data consistently shows that these implementation failures, they are largely preventable. It comes down to proper planning, making sure you have adequate resources allocated, and a really strong adherence to proven best practices. It's about being strategic, being intentional from the start, not just, reacting to fires as they pop up.
Absolutely.
Yeah.
Ultimately, implementing a major new system like this, it's never just a technical project, is it? For you as a C-level executive listening, it's really a comprehensive business transformation. And that demands unwavering executive commitment, getting the right expertise on board, and very careful, deliberate change management that genuinely puts your people at the center.
Which I think raises a really important question for you to consider. In your organization, when you undertake these vital, expensive projects, are you just implementing software? Or are you truly leading a business transformation? What will it take for your leadership team to ensure this crucial investment delivers not just features, but its full strategic potential? How do you make sure it really transforms your enterprise for the better?
By focusing on these critical success factors we've discussed today, you can be much better positioned not only to avoid those common costly pitfalls, but to actually realize the full benefits and the impressive return on investment for your next major system upgrade.
So I hope you found great value from that session. The Turning Point team has addressed all 10 of these must-dos with our clients. We worked through them, we understood the root causes and what remediation strategies we needed to use. And then we had great outcomes. And so as a bonus, we wanted to talk about a couple of things here that I want to get in your hands. The first is this is the ebook of all the material that we presented today. So again, we've got everything listed in here. You can use it as a checklist. You can use it as a foundation to talk with your leadership team and your staff about how to really understand how to fix your NetSuite issues and get to an optimized system. The next thing I'd like to get you is this AI agent we created for NetSuite issues and optimizations. It's a discovery tool that you kind of do a deep dive in your situation and collect the information around the issues and optimization opportunities you'll have with your system. Again, you can get to that using the URL or the QR code. And lastly, I'd like to spend some time just chatting about your situation. I'm happy to do a consult with you, spend a half hour, talk through your issues, talk about what your desired outcomes are, what you're really hoping for out of your NetSuite system, so that we can maybe come up with a plan and help you understand what your options are. So I look forward to chatting with you. Let's take some time and talk. And I hope you found great value, and let's get together so that we can really drive great return on investment of your NetSuite implementation. I'll talk to you soon.